Welcome to Dating Déjà Vu, the podcast where we talk about your patterns, your pitfalls, and your personal growth in modern dating. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, marriage and family therapist and dating relationship expert. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about healthy boundaries in online dating and then what that looks like in in-person dating. This is something people often struggle with because they want it to work out so badly that they overlook the red flags or signs that their boundaries are being crossed. So if your dating and love life looks a little bit of the same, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. So let's figure it out together. Hey, Deja crew, welcome. We are going to get in the nitty gritty of online dating because this is where a lot of people are setting themselves up for failure. What I see in the online dating world is that there is this almost lack of standards and respect before the first date ever happens. And I think I talked about it on a couple episodes of my rule of the 3x3x3x3 rule, which I'll bring up here, that I want everyone to try to incorporate into their dating lives, especially if they are 100% single. The 3x3x3x3 would not necessarily work if you're already in a starting budding relationship. But if you are just out there swiping away, this is for you. So let's just break it down for you. So you match with someone because they're kind of cute, but maybe their bio is empty, right? They message you something like super dry and like not even worth your time. Like, hey, what's up? Right? I'm pretty sure that's what my husband did. But instead of moving on, you engage in a lifeless conversation. You might also engage in that conversation and have basically what I call a online pen pal for weeks and weeks in hopes that they ask you out. You also will lower your expectations because as you think dating is so hard and maybe you should give them a chance. Stop this pattern now. What I want to talk about is boundaries and rules you need for online dating. Number one, don't confuse attraction on a picture for like compatibility. Just because someone looks good doesn't mean anything. You know plenty of pretty people who are assholes, who are toxic, who have, they monkey branch relationship to relationship. They might have nice arms in their photos. That doesn't mean that they're worth your time. If their vibe isn't matching in the conversation, stop trying to force it to happen. If you're just going after looks, that is a you thing. You have to take the love is blind approach and ask the hard questions. Number two, you don't owe anyone a response, even if you've connected with them, right? I don't care if they sent you 5 messages and seem really into you. If you are not feeling it, you don't have to reply. Silence is a boundary, right? Maybe, yes, I love when people are like upfront, but if someone's like in your inbox, which is like, hey, what's up, hottie? Hey, hi. No, no. I'm seeing like breadcrumbing and love bombing starting from the get go. And that's not what we want. And as I talked about with the 3x3, right? So 3 messages before they're asking for your phone number. Set a time limit on chatting with them. And then the next 3 is after 3 full conversations, we should be setting ourselves up for a meeting. If they've been messaging you for weeks, but won't make a plan, next them. You guys are probably too young, but there used to be this show on MTV called Next. And it was really cringe, but basically if anyone got like any sort of like negative feeling, as you all called the ick, they could be like next, and then they would next the person, and then the person that ended up at the end became their person they go on a date with. So again, if they've been messaging you for weeks, that's emotional breadcrumbing, that's texting breadcrumbing, it's not dating. Again, we are not looking for a pen pal, baby. We are looking for a partner. Number 4 is I want you to vet them before your date. Before you waste your time and that cute outfit you've been holding on to, you know which one I'm talking about, on someone, we want to ask ourselves real questions like, what are you looking for? Now, if in their bio they say that they are open, no, we're not, right? Are we looking for a relationship or not? Now, if you're someone who's open to and you're not looking for a relationship, then you probably don't even need to listen to this episode. But if you're looking for a relationship and they're not, move on. How do they feel about, and I want you to write down your non negotiables. Now, if we look at reality TV recently on Love is Blind, there was a very clear indication that there were couples on there that did not align in areas that were non negotiable for the women and the men. So if you look at Sarah and Ben, she very much is in alignment. Her non negotiable is equality, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and acceptance. And Ben didn't necessarily have like a strong stance in that. Now, yes, people can grow over time, but like if that's a big thing for you and you want that person standing beside you with the sign picketing and the, protest, it's probably not going to be your person. And then also ask like what's their ideal way to spend a weekend. So if it's we go to Old Town and we go to the club, well, I'm in Arizona. We go to the club with my boys and we get bottle service and this and that, that's probably not what you want. But if they're like, I go out with friends, occasionally, I like to take my dog to the dog park. I like to protest. See, bring that together. I like to work out. I go to my mother's home every Sunday for family dinner. If those things resonate with you, then that is a yes. If they can't answer these basic questions, don't even do it. They don't deserve your time. They're not going to miraculously get some sort of stance or like life. Okay. And then number 5, you have to have a firm plan for your safety. First dates should always be in public places only. Only. Now, I've done this the wrong way. I went to a guy's house on the first date. Luckily, he wasn't a serial killer, but I put myself in a stupid position. Now, Tinder, actually, where I met my husband, has a share your date option. Tinder, you should sponsor the show because I'm a Tinderella. I had a cocktail at my party called a Tinderella because my husband and I met on Tinder in 2014 and we've been married since 2017. Anywho, they have a share your date option. Share your location with your friends. Tell them where you're going, right? And if the person is trying to pressure you into meeting at their place or like the secluded place on the first date, absolute red flag, absolute no. No, no, no. The bottom line here is that boundaries are included in online dating, and they're not just about who you let in, they're about who you don't entertain in the first place. Okay. So let's talk about what actually happens then once we meet in life. So again, we are having 3 conversations before we're asking for a phone number. They don't ask you for your phone number and want to text you off of the app. That's just weird. Like text off of the app because that says, I want to get to know you a bit more. I want to have a bit more of an intimate relationship with you because I have your phone number and we can kind of text throughout the day. And we're not just waiting for the notification on the Bumble app. Got it. Now it's still, I mean, you can block someone at any time, but three conversations in the app, 3 conversations on the phone. Then we're in those 3 conversations, we need to be having a date. Okay. So now we're in the date. And in-person dating boundaries is a way that we stay in control. So you've made it past the swiping, the small talk, what's your favorite taco spot, right? Now we're actually meeting in real life. This is where a lot of people forget they still need boundaries. Just because they're great on text, just because they sound wonderful over the phone, that doesn't mean that this person gets full access to you in person. So we want to keep your power on the date and beyond. So these are some rules and boundaries for your in-person dating. So rule number 1, don't ignore red flags just because you want it to work. If something feels off, if they talk over you, if they make you feel uncomfortable or dismiss your opinions, maybe they're mean to the waitress or the Starbucks gal, you don't owe them a second date just because you've put in the time or you've already given them a chance. I went on a date with this guy and nothing bad happened. It just wasn't there. I think we even split the time. I think both of us were like, no, this isn't happening. Like, I don't want to go mountain biking with you. Right. Sorry. That sounds terrifying to me. I don't owe him anything. I didn't owe him a why. I'm pretty sure he felt the same way because again, he didn't even offer to pay for the tab, even though on a first date, I usually would just try to split it anyways. But just because you went on the first date, you don't owe shit to anyone. Okay. If it doesn't feel right, move on. Number two, you can leave that date at any time. Now, I will say, even though that date was off, like it wasn't bad, right? I had a conversation, I met a new person. Great. But you can leave at any time. I think of that. I think it's like a Hyundai commercial where he's like, Sugar Mama, forgot my wallet at home. And she's like using her app on her phone to like bring her car to the front. And then she's like, oh, excuse me. And then she leaves. You can leave at any time. If they make you feel uncomfortable or if you're just not feeling it, you can leave. You don't have to sit through the, entire date and the crazy conversation out of politeness. One of my favorite podcasts are My Favorite Murder, and they say, fuck politeness, because you got one life to live, baby. And if you want to waste your time on people who make you uncomfortable, or you're trying to be polite even though they're making you feel uncomfortable, no, we don't do that anymore. Okay. Number three, watch how they handle no. You've heard me say this before. Watch how they handle no. If you say no, I don't want to drink, or I'd rather take things slow, and here's your red flags, try to convince you otherwise, make a joke about it, or ignore and push anyway, this is a major, major red flag. Okay. It could even be that, afterwards, you might be even having a good date and you want to go home and they make a comment about that. No, we're not respecting boundaries. And that's just a small little view through into what the future looks like. If you had a great night and you need to go home because you're a responsible individual and you've got work tomorrow and they're not respecting that, that is a problem, right? Because there's so many things that I could say about that person. Like, they're probably going out every night, even on school nights, right? They obviously don't respect that you have boundaries, or they're in that love bomby mode, right? That, oh, if we keep hanging out, this means that it's good. That doesn't mean it's good, right? Like, yes, if you go on a second date and a third date and do that appropriately with appropriate amount of time in between, then yeah, that's healthy. But you don't need to like stay on that person's hip for the entire night in order for you to show that you like them. A healthy partner will respect your boundaries. Just remember that without needing a full explanation. You don't need to explain. You don't need to say sorry. Stop saying sorry, girls. Stop fucking saying sorry. You want to know what sorry means? I did something wrong. I see this a lot when people like get in your way, say, oh, I'm sorry. And I say, excuse me. Those are two different things. Emotional access to you. This is number 4. Emotional access to you is earned, not given. Okay. A few dates does not mean that they get all access to your past trauma, your family drama, your insecurities. Oversharing early can create a false sense of intimacy. We want to allow that emotional connection to build over time. Now, I worked this out with a client, one of my coaching clients, where I said, okay, 1 to 3 dates, we're just still getting to know each other. And if we even want to continue, 4 to 6 dates, maybe now we're talking about things that, are not as close to our heart. So, what do we like to do with our times? What is our relationship like with our friends? What are we working on at that point in time? Then after, 7 dates, now maybe we're talking about a little bit about our families, right? And our relationship to our families. And then as the time goes on, we start to open up about ourselves. Now, this isn't hard and fast, but having access to your heart is not something that most people should have. If you are looking for a partner, you want to slowly let the air out of that balloon rather than just letting it go, which I see women do all the time. If you watch The Bachelor, like these women just trauma dump on the poor bachelor or the bachelorette, both ways. They just trauma dump as it's like, oh, let me see your weaknesses. So then we feel a sense of connection. That's not how it works, right? We need to actually build the trust to build the intimacy and vulnerability. It's not the other way around. A lot of people think it's, well, if I'm vulnerable up front, then I can trust that person because they know my story. But this is how you get in trouble and they hold it against you. Oh, you don't want to show up for a date because you hate your dad. It's like, no thank you. Number 5, Physical boundaries are a non-negotiable. You do not have to be ready for passion and romance. You don't have to explain why either. I'm not that ready yet. I'd like to take my time. Or the age old NO. No, no. If they don't respect it, if they don't respect your boundary, they don't respect you. Or there's someone who has coerced women in the past. Because, yes, women will get burnt out of saying no if the person persists and persists and persists. Is that the person you want to be with? Now, I'm talking about women. This applies to men too. Women will use their sexuality as a way to feel connected to someone. I work with a lot of women who I'm trying to actually pull them out of this cycle. I work with women who use their sexuality to feel connection because that's what they think they are worth. So they have sex up front and then they wonder why that person doesn't want to be with them. And then they think in their head, all that person wants or all people want from me is sex, when actually that's what you're leading with. Right? You lead with sex because you think that that's the only way that you will have a sense of power or control. And one of my clients who struggles with this is because her brothers and her dad used women for sex in front of her, like not in front, but you know what I mean? Like they would talk about it. There'd be different women coming in. He cheated on her mom. So in her head, in order to have power over other people, I'm the one who has sex first. And if I'm having sex first and I'm choosing that first, then I'm in control, when that's not truly what's happening. So the bottom line is that in-person boundaries is more than just safety. We want to, of course, be safe, but it's about maintaining your standards, your comfort, and your control on how you are dating. Now, so we have 3 conversations in the app, 3 conversations on the phone before we ask for the date, 3 dates. And we want to be doing this with 3 different people. Why? Well, you don't need to put all your eggs in one basket. You need to keep yourself open. And when you do that and you have strong boundaries around that, you show a lot of security, right? I've said this story before. I told my husband and the other guys I was dating that I was dating other people. I remember one guy, he'd be like, oh, because he was kind of like my hookup buddy. He's like, oh, did you go on a date with somebody else and now you're coming here? I was like, yes, that's exactly what happened. And it was fine. Now, for him, he was like in medical school and, you know, it was kind of this fling thing. But, you know, he probably wanted a partner too. And I was just like, whatever, you know, so don't do that. But 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. And then after 3 dates, you're going to decide, like, do I want to move forward with this person? And if after, I would say 3 to 5, if you're ready, then it's time to be like, okay, I'm going to stop dating the other people. That doesn't mean I'm going to get exclusive. I'm just going to put my attention into this person. And then from there, you can decide. So if dating feels exhausting, it probably has to do with the fact that you're negotiating your boundaries too much. Dating shouldn't feel exhausting. You should feel in control. You don't owe anyone any, endless conversations just because you matched with them. You don't owe anyone a second date just because they were nice to you. You don't need to explain your boundaries in order for them to be valid. Healthy dating isn't just finding someone great, right? That's part of it. It's about cutting off the ones who are not right before they waste your time, because time wasted on the wrong ones is time not pursued towards the right ones, right? So the next time you're swiping and going on a date, ask yourself, am I letting them prove they deserve my time, right? Or am I giving away my time too easily? So that's it for today. If this episode hits home, share it with that friend, drop a review. And remember, boundaries aren't rules for other people. They're commitments for yourself. Because it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. And if it is you, it's time to set some boundaries. Talk to you soon.